that this perfume bottle makes. I really need you to hear it.
Even though Wicked was released in November of 2024, it's still casting a spell on audiences everywhere. If you've seen the film, you'll know that the cast was absolutely electric on screen. But trust me when I say this, the real magic happened behind the scenes. Prepare for a whirlwind of hilarious moments and bloopers that will have you melting. In this video, we'll dive into the chaotic, hilarious world of the Wicked cast and share some of the best off-screen moments with you. So, let's get started. First, the film's director, John M. Chu, made an unusual request. Before we get into this, let me ask you something. What do you do when you go to the theater? Just sit and watch the movie, right? Mr. Chu wants you to switch things up by asking the cinema folks to raise the volume to complement the musical's sound. He's been pretty adamant about this too. On his social media, he wrote, "Tell your movie theater to turn it up to a 7. I've gone to a couple of screenings, and they are more like a 6.4. If you want it the way it was intended, 7 is the way." Chances are that Chu tweeted this because of AMC Theater's statement that silence is golden and that there should be no singing during the movie. Many fans tweeted that they also felt like the movie's sound was a little on the lower side. But that isn't a surprise, since many people treat it as a 3-hour sing-along. Next up, Ariana Grande got a Wicked obsession on the set. She was absolutely obsessed when the pop star first saw the Munchkins on the set. Now, let me give you some context first. Munchkins, as described by the film's director, were basically agricultural people from Munchkinland. They were in charge of collecting the color from tulip fields. If you've seen Victor Fleming's 1939 classic, The Wizard of Oz, you'll know that over 100 little people were cast to play the Munchkins in the film. But for Wicked, Chu wanted to take a fresh approach. He said he wanted to define them as a culture, not by their size or looks. And since the movie uses CGI, the Munchkins were usually covered in blue blocks for post-production purposes. Ariana absolutely loved this look and would find excuses to come up and talk to them, and also take some pictures. Moving on, Wicked's cast and crew were surprised by how humble Ariana was. One of the dancing Munchkins from the film, Ricardo Lujaro Sousa, recalled a scene from the movie when Ariana's character, Glinda Upland, travels to Munchkinland to deliver news of the Wicked Witch of the West's death, and reveals her backstory in the opening number, No One Mourns the Wicked. There's one scene where they wanted a really precise camera angle of her wand. Poor Ariana kept getting it wrong, and instead of letting her ego get the best of her, she would just burst out laughing. Ricardo recalls her saying, "God damn it, I got it wrong, I got it wrong." People never expected her to be this laid back, so it really took some of the tension away from the set. Ricardo also mentioned that it turned the situation into something really funny for everyone. He also said that Ariana had a sort of nervous energy about her that got everyone all thrilled about doing what they were doing. Next up, Elphaba's piercings took quite some time to deal with. Now, real film fans know that prosthetic noses or chins are pretty common in TV and films, especially for witches. Wicked didn't resort to such stereotypes, but one cast member still had to use prosthetics. In fact, they were an important part of Cynthia Erivo's makeup for Elphaba during the press tour, especially for her earrings. You may have noticed the star wears some stunning earrings during her media appearances for the film. It was for those piercings that the Wicked team created a shell to save our heroine the trouble of having to take her jewelry off every time. This shell must have been a godsend for the actor, as wearing and taking off jewelry multiple times can sometimes be annoying and painful. Moving on, Jonathan Bailey was joined by an old friend on the Wicked set. Unless you're an eagle-eyed fan and have watched both Bridgerton and Wicked multiple times, chances are that this one trotted right by you, quite literally, without you noticing a thing. Did you know that Jonathan Bailey rides the same horse in both Bridgerton and Wicked? I'm sure you noticed how perfectly in sync he was with his furry friend. Their obvious bond is exactly why Bailey was so particular about bringing his former castmate, Jack, the horse, along for the musical ride. In fact, Bailey recommended the steed the very first day he met director John M. Chu. Now, let's talk souvenirs. It's pretty common for actors to take a few souvenirs from film sets. Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are no different. And you could say that they deserve it, since the two spent the past few years of their lives dedicating themselves to Wicked. These These souvenirs included Glinda's wand and Elphaba's broom. From what the actors shared, the broom is proudly showcased on the wall in Cynthia's house. But this isn't all. They also snuck away more commonplace items, like books, cardigans, and a ton of snow globes. Most surprisingly, Ariana also took home a pair of Arrivo's prosthetic ears, and something rather unexpected. She didn't go into a lot of detail about this other item, other than saying that it was a piece of Johnny Bailey. Apparently, she couldn't get into more details as it would spoil part 2. I guess now we have another reason to look forward to it. Moving on, Cynthia had a real Snow White moment on the set. You probably already know that director John M. Chu left no stone unturned in bringing the Wicked set to life as realistically as possible. He made sure that the enchanted forest was created with real flora. And guess what? It wound up attracting fauna, which led to some pretty magical moments. In an interview, Cynthia Erivo shared that by the time they were filming in the forest, there were birds living in nooks and crannies. And the way they found this out was pretty cool. When Cynthia would start singing, the birds would join in as well. It's a real pity their background vocals didn't make the final cut. But hey, from the looks of it, Mother Nature must also be a huge Cynthia stan. Next up, your favorite Wicked scene might be improvised. Successfully improvising in a musical that has a huge fan following is not an easy task. Thankfully, Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo were able to pull it off with ease. In fact, their awesome improvisation skills ended up giving us a bunch of the best moments of the film. Did you know that Glinda's sky-high kick in Popular was thanks to Ariana's improv skills? Plus, Elphaba's comforting wink in Defying Gravity was also something the actor came up with herself. Both of these songs were incredibly hard to film, so improvising these cool little bits really shows how talented both Ariana and Cynthia are. And apparently, the scene where Glinda has her fairy godmother moment, flicking her wand to give Elphaba a new outfit, took 5 hours to shoot because Grande kept making it funnier each time. Clearly, this musical really brought out Ariana and Cynthia's acting skills. But folks, that is nothing compared to how far they went with their singing. Did you know that the stars were singing live all the time? I bet that will raise your respect for both of them. And I know what you're thinking. There's no chance that Cynthia sang live in Defying Gravity. Well, get ready to have your socks knocked off. She absolutely sang live in that song as well, all while being held up by a harness. Do you remember when Ariana spun from the chandelier while singing Popular? Well, she was able to do that with nothing but her core strength supporting her. That scene was particularly difficult to shoot, as it took a lot of rehearsals, not only for Ariana, but Cynthia as well, who, in the beginning, was scared that Ariana might end up kicking her in the face while swinging. In an interview, Director Chu mentioned that it was important that Ariana and Cynthia remained connected with the live aspect of musical theater. In fact, during Popular, there was even a pianist playing in the room to help the singer interact with the song. And this worked out really well, not just on screen, but off screen too, where the atmosphere on set was so emotionally charged by their vocals that it often left the crew in tears. Moving on, Ariana really defied expectations. The singer approached this project with sheer passion and didn't want anyone to treat her like the huge icon she was. In fact, just like everyone, she actually auditioned for her leading role as well. She had to go through 5 auditions before getting the final call. We all know that Ariana has wanted to play Glinda in Wicked for a long time. The singer has been pretty outspoken about that, so when she finally got it, she didn't let anything stop her from giving her best. Her castmates also shared that Ariana really put her heart and soul into this project and didn't hesitate during the more challenging scenes of the musical. Her passion and hard work were so prominent that even Chu, who in the beginning had wanted to cast lesser-known actors in the leading roles, had no choice but to recognize her talent. And with that being said, it's a wrap on some of the hilarious moments and bloopers that the Wicked cast had on and off set of the blockbuster. See you in the next video.